Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming. This is part 2 in our 3-part webinar series on the future of hotel voice technology. Part 2, this is called Cool Stuff. I'm going to go real past this real quick, but I grew up in the hotel business. I've been doing hotel technology for over 30 years. I do interviews and guest articles in national hotel technology publications, and sometimes even asked to speak at hotel association meetings. What we are looking at in this webinar series, part 1, the one we did a couple weeks ago, was the evolution of the hotel PBX and what was happening with the PBX and what the future PBX platform would look like. Now, today, we're going to look at the cool stuff that this new technology platform allows us to do. And the third webinar in the series, 2 weeks from Tuesday, so about 12 days from now, we'll look at SIP and software as a service or cloud-based PBXs and the potential savings that all of this helps create for us. So today we're going to focus on cool stuff. Before we do, I want to just bring everybody back up to speed with what we did in the first session, where we looked at the evolution of these two parallel business communication technologies, the technology around written communication and the technology around spoken communication. So we looked at where the typewriter went versus where the phone went as technology evolved. And here's the old cordboard, switchboard. And what we ended up with, I'm skipping through a whole bunch of what we did last time, but what we ended up with was the realization that the written word is now a software application like Microsoft Word. Word processing isn't a proprietary machine. It's a software package that you load onto some probably non-proprietary hardware. You could load Microsoft Word onto any PC, by any manufacturer, onto a Mac, probably runs on other operating systems as well. And if you end up not liking Word, you can replace Word with another word processing application like OpenOffice. And what that provides is more options and more features. And the simple conclusion we came to was that's where we're headed with respect to hotel voice technology. We created the VoiceWare software application. It is a complete IP PBX that runs on a third-party independent hardware. We don't make the hardware it runs on. It runs on a server or a server partition or virtual machine in the cloud. That's where we think we're headed with the future hotel voice technology. That is going to make things a lot more flexible, powerful, and probably save money, but also will allow us to start using some kind of mobile guest phone app, and it may be partially the guest room phone and other services as well, like viewing the hotel restaurant menu and things like that. But in any case, we do think that the mobile device that guests carry around with them is going to work itself into the future hotel voice technology. So that is a recap of the first part, and today we're going to talk about cool stuff that these new platforms allow, that having the PBX as a software application independent of any proprietary hardware running on a variety of different platforms, whichever makes the most sense, and whether it makes the most sense to put in the cloud or hosted. What is all that going to provide for us? And we'll look at what that provides in the guest room, at the front desk, in other areas of the hotel, as well as the admin side, and then look at some technical and maintenance things that this new technology allows. And the first thing we touched on as a teaser was the guest's native language. With this hotel PBX being a software application, it's pretty simple for the PMS to tell us what the guest's language is. And because now the voicemail and all prompts are just sound files that can be easily recorded, we can create a set of sound files for virtually any world language out there. And our product, VoiceWare, for example, comes with French, Spanish, and English. And sure enough, a hotel called the Royal Oasis in Haiti, 5-star, one of the first 5-star hotel in all of Haiti, selected VoiceWare partially because the language module, where the PMS can send us the guest's native language, and from that point forward, the voicemail prompts, the prompts for setting your own wake-up call, and even the wake-up call itself are delivered in that guest's native language. The system also can be more interactive with the guests. Again, it can be more flexible and you have more control over what it does. For example, the wake-up call no longer just needs to be a hello, this is your wake-up call. It can be a menu tree. For example, hello, this is your wake-up call. If you'd like to snooze for 10 more minutes, press 1. For a room service, press 2. And you can even play a special, and that can change during the time of day, so you can leave that choice out if it's, say, a 11 a.m. wake-up call. For today's weather forecast, press 3. And let's say for the schedule of events for today, press 4. So there's a lot of voice tree capabilities that can be utilized in ways we've never done it before in the hospitality environment and make the guest interaction a lot more positive, a lot more friendly. And just imagine each group's set of guests being able to access a verbal schedule of events that they can just dial into from any phone, and they'll hear the schedule for the day. And that Go Mobile Guest Room app we touched on in the first part and just a second ago can become more customized toward the hotel. And here it went from what looks like a regular guest mobile phone keypad to speed dial icons. We've got car rental, restaurant, bell desk, front desk, etc. And here, when the guest checks in, they have this app on their phone, and they just launch it, and it figures out what guests they are and what room number they're in. And they can just press these speed dial icons and speak with any of these services in the hotel. What is very cool about this is instead of the call being delivered, let's say, to the restaurant with the guest's mobile number as the caller ID, instead it's delivered with the guest's name and room number, just as though the guest were calling from their guest room phone. So it essentially clones the guest room phone, and calls to or from this device look just like calls to or from the guest room phone. Don't think it'll eliminate that guest room phone completely, at least not in the near future, but this does have some great capabilities and possibilities for enhancing the guest stay, especially in a 4- and 5-star property. Moving to the front desk, probably the thing that gets the most attention with this new technology is our browser console, or any browser console. And here's a screenshot of it, but I am going to pop over to an actual browser console instance here on my machine. So I am actually connected to a copy of IPPBX Voiceware, in this case, the one that we make. And you see that the browser console provides a 360-degree view of the hotel. All of the room numbers down the left-hand side. I can page through using standard Windows controls, the list of guest rooms backwards and forwards, all of the information related to each room, the name of the guest, whether there's a wake-up call set, what the wake-up call time is, what that guest dialing permissions are all right here on the grid. And I can change this very simply just by clicking on the button, say, for room 102 dialing permissions, and change it from fully open to, say, local only, and you see immediately, boom, that changes to local only. I can also call a guest, say, from my admin phone, because this is paired to my administrative set that I use at the front desk there. The search box is probably the most powerful piece of this in terms of answering and transferring calls. So if I receive a call from outside and I answer it, and they're looking for Porky Pig, I can just click in the search box, start to type P-O, and there's Porky Pig pops right up. And these buttons will highlight, and I can do an attended or blind transfer to Porky Pig just by clicking the button. Clear the search box like I would in any other Windows-based application, and boom, I've got my full screen back. I can also look at a list of ongoing calls. Now, there are none in the system right now, or the administrative stations list. I can have that pop up, and I can do the same kind of searching on that. So for new front desk staff, it's easy to transfer to staff members by name as well. The last thing that's of interest, and is a very quick look at just a tiny piece of the capabilities of this tool, is the ability to drill down into a guest's settings and get even more information. So I can see that Juan Ochoa's language is Spanish. They're with Expert Web Services. He's got some voicemail. He is not a VIP, but he's made 85 calls. We haven't billed him for any of those. So he must be giving away free typical calls. But you can also set a wake-up call for him just by clicking on this button. And let's say he wants a 7:30 wake-up call, and he wants it to ring every day, Monday through Friday. I could also set it for Saturday and Sunday only, or every single day during the stay, and save it, and boom, he's got another wake-up call set. You can set up to 9 wake-up calls for guests. One other thing worth noting on this tool, and again, this is a browser-based tool. This is not an application that has to be loaded on the computers at the front desk or at the general manager's or front desk manager's position. It's just a browser-based app. So if you have an HTML5 compatible browser on any device, including an iPad or any tablet, you can point it at VoiceWare and or at the IP-PBX for other manufacturers, and this type of a tool should be available. Last thing is we have the ability to set many different types of night modes. It used to be day mode, night mode, or 2 night modes. Well, now we can name our night mode. So I have a night mode for showing a room, and in this case, all the calls will start to ring to the cordless phone. Night audit, all the calls will ring to the night auditor's desk. Manager and apartment, probably not really a VoiceWare type of hotel, but if there is a manager's apartment and the front desk is sort of closed, you could have all the calls ring to the manager in the apartment with different night modes. And these are completely flexible and configurable by the hotel as part of the setup process. So that's just a very, very quick glimpse at the browser-based type of a console application. The coolest thing about this, if you're the accountant at the hotel, is that these are maybe a $200 or $300 license for a copy of this, whereas the standard hardware console today in the proprietary hotel PBX world is maybe $1,300, $1,500, $1,900 even. So it's quite a considerable cost savings to get a lot more power. It just makes sense to start moving toward things like this. Also at the front desk is some enhanced 911 features. That browser console, every copy of it will start to flash with a message telling what room dialed 911 if someone dials 911. It can also deliver a message to any administrative phone, and the display of any administrative phone that the hotel wants to be notified if a guest dials 911 will show the room number that dialed 911, and the phone will just start ringing incessantly until that 911 alarm has been acknowledged. Also from the front desk, with a simple click of a button or even through the property management system interface, automatic pre-canned voicemail messages can be delivered into guest voicemail boxes. And once again, if you're using the language module and these pre-recorded voicemail messages such as, you have a package at the front desk, get dropped into the voicemail box for the guest, it will be in their native language if those modules are being used. Throughout the hotel, the other services that the hotel provides, such as a gift shop, a restaurant, a bar, maybe even a golf course or a spa, can have their own virtual phone system within the IP-PBX that's driving the hotel. So it looks to the outside world like that sub-business within the hotel, the gift shop or the spa, is its own separate standalone business with its own phone number. But within the hotel, you also have just an extension number or a speed dial button that will get you to that service. Also, they can have their own auto attendant, their own recordings with hours, and an hours-based recording. So if they're closed, they can play a message that apologizes for being closed but gives the open hours. And if they're open, they can have a menu choice for, say, setting up a spa appointment or a tea time, etc. Something very cool that the voice over IP world provides for us through the SIP standards is the ability to have a call center that links some of the overflow or the regular answering position needs for a group of hotels into one location. And what's happening here is there's a couple of hotels in city number 1, Hotel A and B, and a couple of hotels in city number 2, Hotel C and D, and their calls to the front desk or the reservation calls, even though they look to the outside world like they're coming to the front desk of that hotel, they're actually going to a call center where each agent gets a screen pop anytime their phone rings of the hotel that is being called, and if it's from within the hotel, the name of the guest who's making that call. And when they answer that call, it'll pop up on their screen and they can say, Hello, Mr. Smith. I see you're in room 102. This is the front desk of the Clarion Hotel. How can I help you? Even though they're in a call center located way off-site. We did a proposal for a large hotel group, 80 hotels, and they wanted to set something like this up, especially for the busy check-in time of the day between, say, 3 and 7 p.m., where their front desk staff could ignore ringing phones completely. The calls would be answered by this call center with about, I think it was 5 people handling all the calls for up to 30 hotels in little clusters. And they figured they'd save about 7 full-time equivalent staff positions just by doing this. There's a lot of savings possibility here. By the way, if you have any questions, please do type them in the chat box. I'll get to them at the end. I think I mentioned that earlier, but do type questions you might have into a chat box, and Angela will hand them to me. The next item that we're going to look at here is unified communications. Obviously, in the SIP world, you're using the internet to combine your communications. You can have voice and video on a single phone call if both ends of the call have the voice and video capabilities. We can deliver voicemail messages into your email inbox. That's pretty handy. I use that quite a bit. Over here on the Wi-Fi side, I can set my mobile phone up to be a SIP client on our office system here, and because it's an IP-PBX, I am basically a clone of my desk phone. Both my desk phone and my mobile phone will ring as extensions on our system anytime my mobile is on Wi-Fi somewhere. And the last thing is super powerful conferencing capabilities. You used to have to buy Conference Bridge or have a limited Conference Bridge, maybe 1 or 2 of them in a hotel system. Now you've got unlimited number of conference rooms and number of conference attendees per conference. All this is built into the typical IP-PBX. So unified communications is going to be very strong. Find Me, Follow Me is a pretty cool feature which allows you to have, when you're not at your desk, have your calls find you even if you're out roaming on your mobile phone or maybe even at your desk. So someone calls you, yes, your desk phone is ringing, but so does your mobile phone, and you can answer it as though you're sitting at your desk. On the technical side, there's a lot we can do and are doing now in the IP-PBX world. Probably one of the most powerful is this automated backup to secure cloud storage. So without even having to do anything on a regular basis, your entire system configuration and even your voicemail messages are backed up to the cloud. And that can be done pretty regularly, daily, weekly, whatever you feel is best. And if there's a catastrophe, if the system is struck by lightning, is completely down, you don't have to completely reprogram it. You install a new replacement system and then just restore this backup from the cloud, and you're up and running just as though nothing had ever happened. And finally, through the wonders of the internet and IP technology, we can easily monitor all of the voiceware systems out there, pinging them to see if they're online, but also asking them how things are going, especially with things like the PMS interface, and we get a graphic display of each system and how it's feeling health-wise. One of the things we've had as a benefit with this, every PMS in the world goes down at some time, or PMS interface goes down at some time. It may be every couple of weeks, it may be every couple of years, but it does go down. And in the past, it's been very difficult to determine that. You have to start to see that names aren't coming across on the phones or that the phone calls aren't getting billed before you discover that the interface is down. With voiceware and any other IP-PBX, you should be able to know within seconds or minutes that the PMS interface is down. And I can tell you from experience, our technical staff in the call center have noted immediately that PMSs are down and got them back up and running before the hotel even knew it. And to be able to do that now is something that is very powerful and, as we said in the lead-in, very cool stuff. So now would be a good time to type in questions if you have any. I'm going to wrap it up here, but with a little teaser. Our next webinar in 12 days on Tuesday will discuss the savings that this type of technology has got as potential. Not just the non-proprietary hardware and software that should bring costs down, but built-in SIP trunking, which every IP-PBX should be able to do natively without having to buy any additional hardware. and VoIP calling that within a network can be done for free no matter how far away the endpoints on that network are, including across the country or across the world. And then finally, the potential savings using software as a service or PBX as a service, if you will, whether it's cloud-based or premise-based with a service model, there's a lot of potential savings there. Thank you all for coming. If you have any questions you'd like to ask offline, we're all here. You can certainly email sales@phonesuite.com. We'll post this webinar up on our YouTube channel. The first in the series is already up there now, and you can see the first in the series if you didn't get a chance to see that one. Thank you all for coming.